And stand on that side. Okay. Tennis balls. Stress. Sometimes we feel very comfortable with the stress that we have, and sometimes our stress is a little wonky. So what would some stresses that Sarah has going on? Okay, school. It's another one. Job. We just use Sarah's you guys in general. So what else? Family. Friends. It's another one. Sports, activities. Sleep. Okay. So as I give Sarah all of these activities or all these different stresses, we think about how, tossing them. We talked about them. Sometimes those stresses come two at a time. Okay. So not bad. She got majority. I don't know. Sometimes those stresses can rapid fire. Oh, oops. Usually we don't have any dust back here. Just a little bit of coffee. It's gonna drink most of it, and I'll pick it up later. Where'd the ball go? Oh, there's one. Oh, the one there, one down there. Oh, one over there. Okay. So what are some of the things that we noticed with Sarah as they started coming in faster? Okay, couldn't catch them all, couldn't juggle them all. Sometimes they just come out of nowhere.
Dude! I got one.
That's why I asked for a volunteer. Didn't pick anyone to purposely toss all that, right? Okay, so sometimes when you're not watching, they all kind of can come at once, right? Do you only ever have 6 stresses in your life?
No.
I only bought 6 balls. I mean, imagine if I would have had more, right? As they started coming rapid firing and she's not ready, she's not prepared, thinking about where are they coming from, how fast are they coming, how often are they coming. Okay, you can go ahead and sit down. When we start to think about these stresses and trying to juggle them every day, that almost becomes a whole nother stress, right? Just when you start thinking about everything that's happening can add to it. So go ahead and put your computer away and grab out that note packet. And we're going to look at how can we start to manage this stress. So some of the things we talked about with Sarah, we looked at what are some of the stresses that we have kind of going on. We could have gotten even more detailed, right? We generalized school, but we could actually have brought that down to like certain classes are maybe more stressful than others. Okay, maybe it's a subject area or not, you can do. How do you handle those things? Notice the first time I tossed him to her, she would lightly balance it on the other side. And it was kind of keeping everything stacked very carefully, so she had one hand ready to grab. But as I gave him to her too, she had to use 2 hands. Then it became this like grasping. When I tossed them to her all really fast, she actually just turned her back to some of them and just let them bounce off of her, which is naturally what's going to happen. Sometimes if we ignore it, will the problem go away?
Sometimes.
Maybe, but usually it's still going to come back and cause a problem, right? Okay, so how do we deal with this stress in our life? The first thing you need to do is to take care of yourself. Exercising as much as we possibly can. Okay, well, I told you my breakdown last Thursday morning. I still went through and finished that exercise because I knew I needed to for 2 sides of it. For the physical side of it, okay, and then also for the mental side of it. I know that could I as a person need to lose weight and exercise more and eat even better? Absolutely. But I also can tell you that I've been doing those workouts for 19 weeks, maybe actually closer to 20 weeks. But I physically feel better. Even though the scale doesn't tell me any less, but I physically feel better and I can do more than I could when I started the first week of doing it. So I know that I'm starting to feel better. Getting enough rest. Do you guys set a time frame when you're going to go to bed each night? You need to try to. I'm telling you, you don't want me to grade anything after 10:15 at night because it ain't pretty. 10 o'clock is my shutdown. I can have a stack of papers that I need to correct. I have a new class. I really don't know what I'm doing in it. I'm just making it up as we go. I really need to plan a little more for it, but last night hit. I had one meeting I had to go to, a couple of things. I got home. It's 9 o'clock. I'm like, 10 o'clock is my shutdown. So no matter what, I crawl into bed at 10 o'clock, and by 10:15, my phone's away, and I'm usually asleep by 10:30. I have to create that routine for myself. Otherwise, I don't get enough sleep. And then eating right. We know if we eat healthier, our body can do things better. Learning to relax, learning to take in deep breaths, learning to take a calm moment in the matter of pure chaos. So we're going to actually do this one. So I want you to put your hands kind of on your lap. You're going to sit forward. If you have your legs crossed, uncross your legs, just kind of straight out, bent. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to count for 30 seconds. And for 30 seconds, I want you to squeeze all of your muscles as tight as you possibly can. Shoulders, arms, feet, toes, fingers. You're going to have your eyes closed so no one's watching you. Okay. So you're going to squeeze everything for the count of 10 or count of 30. And after 30 seconds, I want you just to relax and relax slowly for just another 30 seconds. I will count you through it. So breathe in for as long as you can on 30 and then let out for the count of 30. Ready? Okay, go ahead and close your eyes and start to squeeze everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep squeezing those muscles. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And go ahead, let's start to relax as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let all your air out. 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep letting that air out. If your arms fall down, that's okay. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Open your eyes. Took less than a minute. Some of you really were squeezing tight. I'll think about all the possible tensions. And as you start to relax and release all of that, it can start to calm down. You can do it in a matter of 2 10 counts too. Counting just for 10, squeezing tight and relaxing. You can be in the middle of a stressful test and no one would see you do that, right? Everyone's heads down anyways. Maybe don't close your eyes because that might be a little awkward, but like squeeze everything tight and just think about it and then just like relax and release as much as you possibly can. Doesn't take long. When you were little and you were throwing a fit, what did your parents ever tell you to do? But think about when you went to that corner and you're throwing a fit and you're screaming and crying, did parents ever tell you to take a deep breath? You can't get words out?
Think about what I did.
Think about what you did. But in that moment, I've done this one with both of my kids when they were little, screaming and throwing a fit. And I'm like, you need to take a breath. Because they're screaming and I can't understand the words. The whole point of taking a deep breath is to actually calm them back down so you can actually ration with them. Same concept with you. Take in some deep breaths through your nose and deep breaths out through your mouth and relax as much as you can. My daughter loves to do yoga. And one of the things, her favorite yoga video she has found is only 30 minutes. And the last 15 minutes is literally laying on the floor with your arms open, facing the ceiling, deep breaths. And the lady talks you through things. One moment there's you fingers together. And next thing you know, you're like melted 100% into the ground and into the floor and just relaxed. I'm like, dude, you only did something for like half of that time. She's like, I know, but it's amazing, Mom. Yep, it is. It feels really good when you can do that. Figure out how to build up your own resiliency. So what does that mean for you? You kind of have to think about what works for you in building up and handling those different stresses. So that might be making sure that we're getting enough sleep, that we're resting enough, that we are exercising, that we're eating healthy. Sometimes it's taking these deep breaths, figuring out, start to build up those things for you. And figure out where are your assets. What are you good at? Where can you find support? Okay. Is that from your parents, from coaches, from, for me, it's from my husband, knowing he knows when I've reached my max. And he pretty much on Sundays doesn't ask for anything from me because he knows Sundays is my day to come to school, plan and prepare, correct all the stuff that I need to, and that next week is set and ready to go. I had students last night that were either gone or they were here and they turned in something late and they're like, oh, can you get that in right now? No, I corrected those things on Sunday. You turned it in late. I get some extra time to finish getting that ready for you. Okay. So I try as much as I can, but I have to know where is my line because I cannot sit and do schoolwork every night till 10 o'clock. Because I don't expect you guys to sit every night till 10 o'clock. I know you want to be involved in activities. I want to go to my kids' activities. I have things that I need to do outside of this. So figure out where can you balance those things. Finding those boundaries, setting them, being productive with your time. Sometimes I am not very productive. I have to use my little timer on my phone to tell me when I can and cannot do something. So if I want to jump on social media, I literally will set a timer for 15 minutes. And when the timer goes off, I need to shut off my phone and get back up and do whatever it might be. Sometimes we need a mental break, and that's okay. But figure out how to set that boundary, how to set up and be most productive when we possibly can. Using positive self-talk. Okay. Now, Hayden had up on the board last week where it was, it's not hard, rocks are hard. Mr. Giles told them that all of the time when the kids would say, I can't do something, it's too hard. So when she was actually doing the workout with me on Saturday morning, she was saying the same things. And I said, you told me, only Mr. Giles said that only rocks are hard. You have to keep going. You have to keep doing. And figure out how to do that positive talk to yourself. Figure out how to change your attitude, which is hard sometimes because it's kind of who you've always been. And so changing our thought process and changing how we build these things is sometimes very difficult to do. I get caught up in my own actions and my own words as well. Not, continuing to talk positively to myself, being confident in what I do, having that control over everything. When I lose control, I have to remind myself that I'm only capable of certain things. If it's out of my control, I can't get mad about it. And there are a lot of things that are out of my control. I can't even control everything that happens within this classroom, right? Because if I would have been able to control it, I would not have these desks. We would have round tables. We would be talking. I don't have that control. So I have to learn to adapt to it and modify myself. Figure out how to manage your time. I think this is the hardest thing that most students and even adults struggle with. How do you prioritize those most important pieces? I have lots of ways that I organize myself. So I have my planner, okay? So this particular year, it's Planner's Got a Plan. So that was the title of it. But I picked a planner that has 3 categories for each day. Top category is for all my things that are happening at home. So as I get going, you're going to see my daughter's dance schedule in here, my son's sports schedule's in here. If there's anything that we have to do as a family, and they're all color coded as well. My middle category are my school activities. So right now when we have no school days or different scheduled days, or when I get into cheer season, that goes in the middle category. And the bottom one is my to-do list each night. So I can have it open. What are the things that I have to do? That's how it categorizes in my mind, because I got to have my home life, my school life, and then what do I have to do? I also sometimes use an additional notebook. And right now, the additional notebook is more needed because there's more notes than can fit in that tiny little box at the end of the day. But these two things are always out on my desk, and I can add and write things. I can take other sticky notes, plop them on top. So when I had a kid the other day, he sent me an email. He's like, hey, remember my Flipgrid wouldn't work right in Flipgrid, so I actually submitted it to you in Schoology. Oh yeah, that's right. But I wasn't planning to go there to correct grade anyone's assignments, but this one kid. So I had to write that sticky note down. Otherwise, he would have had to tell me 3 more times where he did something at. My biggest one is my Google Calendars. And it's mass chaos. Lots and lots of calendars that I can share with multiple people, and they all are color-coded to mean something differently. One of my biggest stressors that I had when my kids were younger was my mom and my mother-in-law calling me on a weekly, daily basis. When does Easton have a basketball game? When does Hayden have this? When do? And I'd send them to them. They'd lose the email because they couldn't figure out how to re-find an old email. And so finally, I created a calendar for Easton, created a calendar for Hayden. And then in here, I can simply go into display on Hayden's. Oh, it's not just that one. Check that one. Oh, no. Undo that. Okay, let's go back. What? Today's not a good day. Okay, so as we go back to here, when we're looking at on these calendars, I need to recheck these. As we are looking at all of these, notice all of these different colors start popping up. And they have all the kids' activities in there. So we can click on where is Easton's game at? He's at Brookings at this time. And I've shared it with my parents' calendar, with them. And they're able to see those. They pop up on their phone. They no longer need to ask me what's happening, what's going on, where everything is at and located. Makes it much, much simpler and easier for me. My husband and I both can edit our own kids' calendars. My parents can't edit it. They can only view it. Did the same thing with my kids. My kids see their own calendars on their own phones. Now they know what's happening and what's going on. Okay. And then we can start to pull in. I pull in other calendars from different locations. I think it's a task that is so helpful for most people, but not everyone uses it to their complete ability, because it's so important to be able to have and to share those different tasks with one another. So what I want you to do is go back to your PowerPoint here on your slides. And you have a bunch of gray slides here. So I want you to, just using the pencil that you have, or if you want to grab out a highlighter, I want you to kind of read through some of these things. And what are some things that you think that you could potentially try and do? And notice at the top of each of those slides, they have different categories. So the first one is emotional stress. Highlight the things that you think you could try and do. Internal stress. Okay. Kind of work your way through some of those parts. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes here to do that.